pull these gears here. This one is spring loaded, so there'll be some pressure on this one when you take this apart. And on this one here, now sometimes they can stick on there, and the reason why Polaris did what they did here is because if they do stick on there, what you can do, you can use just a regular claw puller, put it on there that you can line these up. There's 3 threaded bolts right there, bolt holes. You can thread these in there, and you can just pull it out like you would a flywheel maybe, or another gear. We'll actually use that puller again on this side. It's kind of the same. You want to make sure these bolts are threaded down as far as you can go, but you also want to make sure they're threaded evenly so that it's pulling on all 3 bolts the same amount. You get those threaded in there really well. Take and run this puller. Alright, and that gear will just come right out of there. And then the oil pump here, what we've got is a 3/16 Allen, and these bolts, you just line up these holes because these Allens are down in behind there. And then there's your oil pump there, and you can just kind of wiggle that up and out of there. This will sometimes stay on the bottom, but you can just set that back in there. So there's the oil pump here with the gear there. And we will go ahead and pull this other gear. Again, sometimes you can take and put a screwdriver or a small crowbar behind there. You don't want to damage the case, put too much pressure on it. Just so I can show you how to do this here, we use this puller again. Now these bolts here are going to be much longer on this puller. You just want to make sure they're completely threaded in before you go to pull on it. Again, make sure they're even. You can see that when you pull this up. Make sure that they're all the same length. Run this in. There we go, and there it went. So, and possibly if this motor got hot, this one doesn't look like it has, but if it does, that can cause it to do that. These threads still look good, so I'm glad about that on the crank. And then just go ahead and remove these bolts. And next we'll remove the cam holder plate. That is right here. It's some Torx heads. T30 is what this one is. This is what holds the cam in. So if these were still in there, you would not be able to pull this cam out as easily. So those would be falling down onto the cam. So there's the cam there, and that cam is in really good condition. Sometimes you can see wear on the lobes or some other sort of damage. So we will flip this motor over, pull the parts off on the other side, and then split this case. The oil filter, we're just going to leave the oil filter on. That protects those threads. And pull the oil dipstick though. That's an 8mm to take that off, and then we've got an Allen as well to hold the tube. Alright, and then this dipstick will just pull right out of there. And the tube itself. So it's got O-rings in there that seal it. And you'll want to replace those if you're replacing this or taking this out. So, alright, we'll flip this motor over and split that case. We'll be able to see that crank and the crank balancer. So. Alright, here's your crankcase bolts here. Bolts, 15 crankcase bolts.